Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining our daily morning Bhagavatam sessions. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 8, prayers by Queen Kuntī and Parīkṣit saved. And we are up to the verse 52, which is the last verse of this chapter. Before continuing with the last verse, I thought let's take the brief overview of the entire chapter, because there is so much wisdom packed in this chapter. So I thought revisiting them only is going to benefit us only. So starting from the beginning, the chapter begins where Krishna specifies Pandavas, Draupadi, Queen Kuntī, Gandhari, who are actually lamenting on the departed souls in the battle of Kurukshetra. And then by Krishna's grace, Yudhishthira Maharaj recovers the kingdom of Hastinapur, and then Lord asked Yudhishthira Maharaj to perform 3 Ashwamedha yajnas to spread his fame like Indra. In the purport in the verse, Prabhupada explains that it takes 100 Ashwamedha yajnas to have the glory spread it as Indra. But because Yudhishthira Maharaj was devotee of the Lord, and it was Lord's will that it is possible for him, it was made possible in that sense that his glory could be spreaded by just 3 Ashwamedha yajnas. And after that conclusion, the Lord was preparing to leave for Dwarka. He was on the chariot already, and then Uttara comes running, seeking the protection for her embryo from Brahmastra that was released by Ashwatthama. Parīkṣit Maharaj was her in womb, and Uttara offers a wonderful heartfelt prayer that Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyam Tvad Bhayam Pashe Yatta Mrityu Parasparam. What it means that, O Lord of the universe, O Lord of the Lord, you are the greatest mystic. Please protect me. Please protect me. Protect me. There is no one else who can save me from the clutches of this world of the duality. So here, Uttara is not seeking protection for herself. Uttara is seeking protection for the embryo in her. Ashwatthama actually released multiple Brahmastras to kill Pandavas. And the only descendant of a Pandava or a grandson of the Pandavas who was in Uttara's, Krishna counteracts all the Brahmastras with the disc, neutralizes them, and saves Pandava outward, externally, and then covered Uttara's embryo with his personal energy. So thus Krishna saves Pandavas externally by his disc, by neutralizing the Brahmastra, and saves embryo in the womb of Uttara by his personal energy. And after doing that, Krishna starts again for his home Dwarka, and then he was addressed by Kuntī Devi. So from verse 18 to 43, she offers these heartfelt, wonderful prayers that are spontaneously on the spot offered to the Lord. Prabhupada used to recite those prayers every day, and these prayers are so beautiful, so heartfelt, very close to the hearts of the devotees in ISKCON as well. In first few verses of her prayers, Kuntī Maharani glorifies Krishna Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrute Param Alaksham Sarvabhutanam Antarbaharam Avashtitam. And so on. And so on. She continues her prayer. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanacha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Pankajanabhaya Namo Pankajanetraya Namo Pankajamalini Namaste Pankajangre. So then in the later verse, from verse 21 to 25, she expresses her gratitude. She expresses her gratitude to Krishna because Krishna saved her. Krishna saved Pandavas and themselves in so many difficulties. If you look at the lives of Pandava and Kuntī Maharani, they have difficulties throughout the life. And there was Krishna protecting them throughout all the difficulties. So she expresses her gratitude. Then in the verses from 26 to 28, she mentions the qualifications to approach the Lord. The word that she uses, she says that Krishna is akinchana gochara. He is approached easily by materially impoverished. He is akinchana vittaya. He is the property of a materially impoverished person. So what it means that those who are after Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta or Shri, good birth, wealth, intelligence, or a knowledge, or a beauty, Krishna remains unapproachable. Krishna remains unapproachable for them. Then in the later verse, Kuntī Maharani refers to Krishna's activities and birth. She says that your activities, your birth and your activities are vidambanam. They are atyanta vidambanam vimohayati. Those words that she mentions. She first says that, okay, there is a confusion. You are one side, you are unborn, then you take a birth too, and then you perform activities. Not only you take a birth as a human, but you take birth in animals also. You appear as a Matsya, as a Varaha, and as a Nrsimha, half man, half lion. So that all those phenomena are very, very confusing. And then she says that you are the Lord who fear personified are fearful of you, but then you are afraid of a simple gopi, Yashoda Maya. So all your activities are vimohayati, very confusing. Then in verse from 32 to 35, she gives various reasons for appearances of Krishna. One of various reasons for appearances of Krishna. She says that, okay, you appear in the Yadukur to give the fame, to give the fame to Yadukur. She gives an example of chandan trees on the Malaya hills. She says, okay, you appear in this world because Vasudev and Devaki prayed for you. Devaki prayed. She gives another reason that Krishna appeared in this world because he listened to the prayers of Brahma. So there are then and so on. She gives a reason for appearance of the Krishna. And at the end, what she actually asks is that she asks for more and more associations of the Lord. She says that let my mind flow towards you like Ganga flows without hindrance. And in verse 44, in response to that, Krishna gives a smile. And Prabhupada explains this in the purport very beautifully. He says that no amount of chosen words is sufficient to enumerate the Lord's glory, and yet he is satisfied by such prayers as the Father satisfied even by the broken linguistic attempts of the growing child. So Krishna being satisfied by the prayer of Kuntī Maharani gives a mild smile. That's what translation refers to. And that makes us think, I think specifically, that Kuntī Maharani is such an exalted devotee, offering a prayer with such a deep introspection. Then what to speak of our prayers, my prayers? They are not even pure. Most of the time our prayers are asking something, and those asks are also many times actually solution to the material problems. So how do we understand that? What does prayer do basically? According to the scientific study, we humans get average 35 to 40,000 thoughts during the day. And all those thoughts could be anything. It could be what to cook for prasadam. It could be how am I going to drop my son to the school? Or it could be I need to call so and so person, so and so devotee. It could be so many thoughts that we get during the day. And amongst those thoughts, there is one thought that we also get is, Krishna, I wish I could love you. Krishna, I wish that I can remember you all the time. But such thoughts get buried among the thousands of other thoughts that we get. Now, when we offer prayer, what happens is that those prayers actually suddenly become strong. And our aspirations change. So prayers actually help us developing our relationship with the Lord. In India, there is a concept of arranged marriage, where a biodata of a girl and a boy family get exchanged. The both families like each other. Both the girl families like boy, the boy family like the girl. So then what happens is that boy and girl, they are allowed to spend some time together. And why is that? So that they can understand each other. They can develop affection toward each other. Applying this to our spiritual practices, knowing Krishna's biodata is good. That okay, Krishna is a son of a Vasudeva and a Devaki. He was born in Mathura, he grew up in Gokula and Vrindavan, and he went to Sandipani school, learned 64 arts in 64 days. Everything is good. But by offering prayer, by chanting, by doing deity worship, we are spending time with him. And that develops our relationship with Krishna. And hence, prayers are such an integral part of our devotional life. So then we progress further in the chapter. So accepting Kuntī Maharani's prayer, Krishna again starts getting prepared to leave Dwarka, and he was stopped again. So this is the third time he is stopped. In this word, first Uttara stopped, then Kuntī Maharani starts offering prayer, and now he's stopped by Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Yudhishthira Maharaj stops out of his great love, and so Lord stops again. What does this show? That Lord is not this is what I've heard, and I'm just copying and saying it here. That Lord is not a scheduled conscious. He is a devotee conscious. So though he is fully independent in all his dealings, but he's conquered by his devotees. Yudhishthira Maharaj asking him to stop with us out of so much love. Krishna stops there. Krishna stops. And we experience similar rasa. I know this is a very not mundane, but very lower level of example. But we experience this when we leave the temple after Saturday love feast. When we start saying Hari Bol Hare Krishna from the temple room, and by the time we reach to the car, we are stopped so many times by the devotees. And it's not that we like that. I haven't seen any devotee, including and experience myself also, that we say Hare Krishna straight in the car and leave. It doesn't happen. So that is the love and exchanges that happens between the devotees of the Lord and the devotee and the Lord. The reason of Yudhishthira Maharaj stopping Krishna was he was very much aggrieved. Upon seeing the massacre of the humans, he considered himself to be the reason. He thought that entire battle took place just to enthrone him as a king. Duryodhana was doing all right by administering the kingdom. But because he was a pious king, and due to his piety, he thought, okay, he considered himself as a guilty. Lord Krishna and Vyasadeva tries to pacify him, but Maharaj Yudhishthira was not satisfied. And that is because Lord desired so. So then this is another superhuman act of the Lord. Adbhut Karmana is the term that is used in word 46. That is revealed here. Lord Krishna did not allow Yudhishthira Maharaj to get convinced by his words or by Vyasadeva's words, because Lord desired that king hears instruction from dying Bhishma Dev, who was another great devotee of the Lord. So Krishna wanted Bhishma Dev to be glorified. Krishna wanted world to know the Krishna wanted Bhishma Dev. Krishna wanted us to know that Bhishma Maharaj is as good as in knowledge of Dharma. Another reason that Krishna acted such a way is that because Lord wanted Bhishma Dev to see Krishna himself personally. If we look at the life of Bhishma Dev, his life is just sacrifice only, and his vow was so strong to protect, to serve the kingdom of Hastinapur, that his desire to serve the throne of Hastinapur, that's what he did his entire life. His desire, he wanted to see his beloved grandchildren, the son of Pandavas, the king Yudhishthira as the king, situated on the throne. So, and that has now become true. So Yudhishthira, so by visiting Bhishma Dev there personally, Bhishma Dev seeing King Yudhishthira as a king, he can actually pass away peacefully. So this was all part of Krishna's plan. Yudhishthira Maharaj thinks himself as the most sinful. He thinks that he caused pain. He caused pain to many women because their fathers and husbands were killed, and it is not possible to undo any of this sinful act by any material welfare work. And then we come to the verse 52. So let's continue with this verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Tirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavatam Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. We are reading verse 52. Yatha pankena pankamha suraya vasura-kritam bhutahatyam tathaivaikam na yagnir mashtum arhati. Synonyms: yatha, as much as; pankena, by the mud; panka ambaha, water mixed with wood; suraya, by wine; va, either; surakritam, impurity caused by the slight touch of wine; bhutahatyam, killing of animals; tatha, like that; eva, certainly; ekam, one; na, never; yagnehi, by the prescribed sacrifice; mashtu, to counteract; arhati, the worthwhile. Would anyone like to read the translation and the purport?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I can read.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Translation. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. As it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine, it is not possible to counteract the killing of men by sacrificing animals. Purport. Ashwamedh Yagya or Gomedh Yagya, sacrifices in which a horse or a bull is sacrificed, were not, of course, for the purpose of killing the animals. Lord Chaitanya said that such animals sacrificed on the altar of Yagya were rejuvenated and a new life was given to them. It was just to prove the efficacy of the hymns of the Vedas. By recitation of the hymns of the Vedas in the proper way, certainly the performer gets relief from the reactions of sins. But in case of such sacrifices, improperly done under imperfect, inexpert management, surely one has to become responsible for animal sacrifice. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there is no possibility of performing the yagyas perfectly for want of expert brahmanas who are able to conduct such yagnas. Maharaj Yudhishthira therefore gives a hint to performing sacrifices in the age of Kali. In the Kali Yuga, the only sacrifice recommended is the performance of Harinam Yagna, inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But one should not indulge in animal killing and counteract it by performing the Harinam Yagna. Those who are devotees of the Lord never kill an animal for self-interest, and as the Lord ordered Arjuna, they do not refrain from performing the duty of a Kshatriya. The whole purpose, therefore, is served when everything is done for the will of the Lord. This is possible only for the devotees. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the first canto, 8th chapter of the Srīmad Bhāgavatam, entitled Prayers of Queen Kuntī and Parīkṣit saved. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So the translation refers to two analogies: filtering muddy water through the mud and purifying the wine-stained pot with the wine. If we try to understand this in a practical scenario, for example, if we meet someone who doesn't speak English, and then we try and converse with that person in English, what are we likely to get in a response is a blank look. The person neither speaks nor understands English. So to help the person, what we do, we try to speak slower and louder. So what we are doing here is actually doing the more of the same thing that causes the initial problem, that doesn't solve the problem. That means we cannot use the same event to solve the problem that is the cause of the problem itself. And issue in the situation, in the example that I've given, is that the person doesn't know the language. So no matter how loudly or how slowly I speak, the person is still not going to understand. And that pattern of behavior we see quite commonly in our daily lives. A common example that I can think or I can relate to as a parent or a teacher, we do that to the children. When the child doesn't obey, we give them a punishment. And he still doesn't listen, we give them a punishment. But that is not the solution. We observe that when we start arguing with someone, our voice automatically gets louder. A classic example that while I was reading, I could think of is actually Lok Sabha in India. You know, when the ministers just shout at each other, trying to prove their point. But it is, so I was listening to actually Urmila Mataji's class in this regard, and she refers to a quote by Albert Einstein, which is, I think, very apt in this situation, that we will not solve the problem with the same consciousness that caused the problem. That means we have to try something different. But that concept is very difficult for us, for a conditioned soul, because most of us, we think that difficulty is not within us. We think that either the problem is someone else or the circumstances, or at the end, we put the blame on the God, that why do bad things happen to good people? We don't try to introspect and think the difficulty could be within us. So here in this verse, what Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, that you can't clean the muddy water with the mud or the stains of wine with more wine. That means there has been so much animal killing during the battle of Kurukshetra, so much human killing during the battle of Kurukshetra, which cannot be counteracted by Vedic sacrifices, which includes more animal killing. So specifically here the Ashwamedha Yagnas and Gomedha Yagnas, they are referred. And then additionally, Srila Prabhupada in the purport specifically says that the purpose of such Vedas is actually to prove the efficacy of the hymns of Vedas. And another reason that is for such sacrifice is actually an old animal is put to the fire, whereby Vedic mantras, they could come out again with the rejuvenated young life. That is the sacrifice of animals in the yagna. So technically, if we think this, there is no loss or harm to the living being that is being sacrificed, and the purpose is not self-interest. But in this time and age, it is not possible to perform such yagnas because there are not such an expert and pure brahmanas. In order to perform such sacrifices, there is so much wealth required. There is no so much wealth. So such sacrifices are forbidden for this age. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu condemned this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that in age of Kali, 5 eggs are forbidden: horse in sacrifice, offering cow in sacrifice, accepting the order of sannyasa, offering the oblation of the flesh to the forefathers, and the begetting the children in the wife of one's brother. So then what is the solution of the Yudhishthira Maharaj's problem? Here the problem is Yudhishthira Maharaj's guilt. And we won't be able to solve the guilt problem by doing something more that is wrong, which is in this context, animal killing. Vedic scriptures talks about certain scenarios where such sacrifices are allowable. But if they can't solve the problem, why they are in the scripture? Why there is a mention of them in the scripture? Because of our conditioning, the way we see things in this world, we are very much attached to what we think, and we think it's valid. So those sacrifices are given as a solution to the certain scenarios, and not the solution for any sinful activity, and not a solution of any sinful activity. What the solution is actually shift in our paradigms, shift in our thoughts, how we perceive things, how we see things. I can say before connecting to ISKCON, I have no understanding of we are not this body, we are the soul, or I have even no understanding that we are in this world, and we are in this world, which means we are suffering, or we are in this world because we are envious of Krishna. I didn't know such truth. So when we first hear, the first is we are first in denial. Like we don't believe it in a first go. How can you be an envious God? How can you be envious of God? I'm not an envious person. But then you come into association of devotees, slowly develop the understanding and start seeing the things as they are. So the solution to such problem is the complete change in consciousness, complete shift on paradigms, how we see things, and how we connect things in Krishna, connect things with Krishna. in Nectar of Instruction, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions this line, and I would just read as it is. He says that a sinful activity cannot be counteracted by pious activity. Thus, real prayaschitta or atonement is the awakening of our dormant Krishna consciousness, and that is the solution. We have to see things in connection with Krishna. The problem is that we try enjoying separate from Krishna, and that is the cause of the suffering. We see our difficulties in the material life. Also, it's not only enjoyment, actually, difficulties also. We see separately from Krishna, and then hence we suffer. But if we see everything as a part of a Krishna's plan, then there is no suffering. I'm sorry, devotees, it is 7 o'clock already. I would want to finish this verse. It may take 5-6 more minutes. My apologies. I will continue. Sorry. What I was saying that, yes, what is required is a change in consciousness. And the perfect example that came across in my mind was Kadamakanand Maharaj. In the last days of his life on this planet, his body was going through so much pain, but his consciousness was not affected by it at all. I remember hearing in classes and that his sadhana was so pakka. That his Guru Maharaj at the end said that it's okay if you don't chant. But Maharaj was till the end of his life, he's chanting. Maharaj in one of his lectures, last lecture, he says that death is just the change of the service. That is the consciousness that we should aspire for. Syncing our desires in line with Krishna's desire. That is the thing, that is what we should aspire for. I heard a really nice, not really nice, it's not a story. I heard this description of Govardhan Leela pastime that I would like to share. When Krishna convinced Nanda Maharaj and Vrajvasi that to stop Indra Puja and start doing Govardhan Puja instead, Nanda Maharaj and Vrajvasi is like, okay, whatever you desire, Krishna, whatever you like, Krishna. And then they start, and then they prepare for Govardhan Puja. So the desire was completely in sync with Krishna's desire. What happens after that? What happens after this? That Govardhan actually manifested himself as a person. And then Vrajvasi prepared the mountain of foods and offering that Govardhan kept eating and asking for more and more. So the entire celebration festival became full of joy. And then Indra got upset and sent the torrential road and sent so much rain to Vrindavan. And then Krishna lifted Govardhan hill on the tiny pinky finger. So the entire city came under the mountain. Then demigods came and they performed the prayer and arti. It is like a festival. So syncing the example what I was trying to say by this example, that when we sync our desire with Krishna's desire, externally things may be perceived as a difficult situation, but Vrajvasi is in complete ecstasy in all these events. So concluding the purport here, in the last line of the purport, Prabhupada says that one should not indulge in the animal killing and counteract it by the performing Harinam Yagna. Those who are devotees of the Lord never kill an animal for a self-interest. They do not refrain from the performing the duty of a Kshatriya. That is the whole purpose, and is served when everything is done for the will of the Lord. And this is only possible for the devotees. So it doesn't mean when Yudhishthira Maharaj considering himself as a sinful, because he was thinking that from the bodily perspective. In one of the previous verses, Prabhupada mentions a comment: the war was fair, but the war was just because the cause was just. So when the consciousness is shifted in line with Krishna, everything makes sense. And sometimes, because they were Kshatriya, they are meant to be on the battlefield. Fighting was the will of the Lord, same as Arjuna, right? He asked these questions in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Fighting was the will of the Lord. They shouldn't feel guilty of killing. They are not fighting for the self-interest. They are not killing humans or animals for the self-interest. But one who is not devotee of the Krishna, they won't be able, they can't see this, they can't perceive it, they can't understand. Hence, Prabhupada's last line is, it is only possible for the devotees. It is only possible for the devotees to understand. So after this, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Pandavas, along with the sages, they go to Bhishma Dev, where he was lying on the Banashaya, and that will be continued in the next chapter 12. Beautiful chapter again, very heartfelt prayer from Bhishma Maharaj that we will study. I would stop here. If anyone has any questions or any comment or any suggestion for improvements, please unmute and share.
Mataji, thank you very much for a wonderful class. Can I share something?
Yes, Prabhu.
When we actually align our desires in sync with Krishna's desires, sometimes it becomes very difficult. Difficulties arise very much. But then, as we know, the more difficult the situation, the more mercy it flows. Bhakti Tirtha Swami very, very nicely says, he says, when a devotee decides to take up a service for Krishna, which is almost impossible, but he still decides to do it, then the mercy flows. So when we understand that, yes, this is like crazy, it cannot be done. And same thing we see from Prabhupada's times, that when the three couples went to England to establish the movement there, everyone thought it's just like, it's not possible. But still they had, the willingness to do it because Prabhupada had ordered them. And then the mercy flew, and then they were able to establish a wonderful yatra in not only England, but in entire Europe. So that way, when we understand that this is the desire of Krishna, and yes, I always say, yes, we are very fortunate to be able to sit in our lounge rooms and whatever we're doing and hear Bhagavad Gita. But then there are millions of other people who need this information, this knowledge, and this devotion. So somehow or the other, we should all get out, and spread this message to one and all as much as we can. And even if we have to cross the boundary sometimes, we do that, and then the mercy flows. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. While you were saying about, when things seem difficult, but when we start acting for Krishna, the mercy flows. And that reminded me a quote from Keshav Maharaj about his, that is one of his class, being comfortable with uncomfortable, one of my favorite lectures of him, where he says, when we are uncomfortable and we act for Krishna, that's the time you come closest to the Krishna. And if we try to keep that in mind and what you've said, then yes, then we feel the mercy. Then we come close to the Krishna. Our desire will automatically start syncing with Krishna. So we'll stop here. Thank you everyone for joining for Bhagavatam session this morning. We'll see you in the Saturday Love Feast program for this evening, and again tomorrow for the Srīmad Bhāgavatam class in person at the Hare Krishna Temple, Burbank. Grantraj Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Have a blissful day.